Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another session of Paws webinars. Today, we have a special guest from Singapore, Madhan Kumar. He is basically from Chennai and a very uh, ardent lover of the macro world around him. Uh, he is doing macro photography from so many years, and he it's one of his passion. So let's welcome Madan today. Hi, Madan.
Hey, hi.
Hey, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
Good,
Thanks, James. How are you?
good. So, Madan, our audience would like to know a small intro about yourself from you.
Sorry, James. There was a.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I couldn't get you just now. Sorry.
No. I said our audience would like to hear a small intro about yourself.
Yeah, I'm Madan. Basically, IT software engineer. I picked up macro photography just as a hobby, actually, and I started it during COVID time, and that's when, when I was restricted, going out and mingling with people. So I thought, what I can do to engage myself or keep me busy about myself. So that's how I picked up macro photography. And
Great.
basically, I'm from Chennai, live in Singapore for some years, and I quite travel a lot too, just for doing photography, especially these few days. And I think, yeah, that's some of the introduction about me. If you have any questions, yeah, you can still
Yeah,
let me know.
you does this micro photography in Singapore itself.
Yes, most of the time is in Singapore only,
Okay.
and yeah, it's all in the parks actually. Not even in stage environment or whatever it is. Mostly in the
Okay,
open
got
areas,
it, got
open
it.
parks, and I just go day and night for photography actually.
Yeah. So, shall we go through your presentation?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll just start with a disclaimer first, because once I started macro photography, right, some of my friends, even they used to tell me that, okay, it's gross, they are disturbed whenever they see the macro photography, or those insects in close up. So they always feel uncomfortable, after this. But if if you guys are really uncomfortable, or
Yeah.
feeling gross or something, definitely I'm not responsible for it. Just a disclaimer actually. Okay, so it's just a small introduction about what macro photography is actually. Usually through naked eye, right, you can still see, okay, there are spiders around, there should be some flies flying around us, or even a mosquito which is which will not let us to sleep in the night time. So have you ever imagined how it looks up in a close up actually? So that's the catch point for me to start macro photography. I just
Yeah.
wanted to start, I would just wanted to look around those subjects in a close up, especially after this movie Nani, uh, which is
Mm-hmm.
I think it was quite popular in India. And after this movie, I think Iga, I started, uh, I just get my more interest on macro photography.
Okay.
So uh, macro photography, I think it's not only about insects, but I specialize mostly on insects photography actually. So, and it's not in taking flowers or any other macro subject. So mostly I go for insect photography. and
Mm-hmm.
arthropods, insects and arthropods is my main targets actually. And okay, so about my macro journey, okay, um, I think like this is how I started. Like I said, I bought my macro lens first, because like we started sharing lens between my me and my friends actually, and then my friends have all those portrait lens, birding lens, and all those things. So when I wanted to buy a lens, I wanted to buy something like which I don't, which my friends doesn't have. So that's how I
Mm-hmm.
purchased my macro lens. I did not use it until like COVID started actually.
Okay.
So since COVID is there, like everybody everywhere it's locked down, right? The entire world is in lockdown, so you will not be able to go around, travel around. So you will have to sit in home most of the time. So I thought like how to keep myself busy. So I started doing my macro photography. So my first model, probably I'm going to show you the first model. Okay, you can see this picture, right? This is my
Yeah.
first capture of macro photography actually.
Okay.
So this is how I started actually, like
Mm-hmm.
so it's not with any flash or any diffuser. It's just on the go. I just click something, and then once I see the hairs, if you can see here, right, I can see some hairs around. So once I started spotting these hairs, this becomes like more and more interesting or interested, like pull you in towards the macro photography actually. And my first diffuser, okay, I don't have my first diffuser. I actually like I dismantled it. So this is my current macro diffuser which I'm using it for now.
Okay.
Okay, and later I will share more about this macro diffuser.
Yeah.
And okay, and about my macro journey, yeah, I started officially in 2020, and most of the time is like I did not go for classes or attend classes for this. Usually, I just go and explore using YouTube, and there are some macro photographers who used to inspire me a lot. Actually, example,
Mm.
Nikki Bay is one of it. Desmond is one of them, and there are like few other friends like who inspired me always about. Macro photography. So that's how I started it actually. And what I slowly started doing is like during COVID time you are still allowed to go to parks, and then like you can have some refreshment by exercising. So that time I usually carry my camera along with me to the parks, and then find the subjects most of the time. And my shooting frequency, yes, I shoot like at least like twice a week, mostly at night time. Because of the hot weather I prefer to go at night, and I'm more interested on the night critters actually, like night crawlers. So I always go on night time. uh, and something to always remember, like when you're doing macro photography you will have to shoot at eye level most of the time. And
Okay.
then so even like consider the insect is on the floor, and you should not get afraid to get dirty actually. Like you wherever the insect is, just try to get to that level actually, I would say. um, okay, exploring, okay, sharing and educating. So usually what I do is like whenever I capture some insects, so what I do is like try to post it in iNat, or like or in other websites, or Google Lens is one of the application wherein you can find the subjects of sorry, where you can find the ID of the subjects actually.
Okay.
Usually after photography, right, I'll just come back and then review my photos. After that, the first thing I do is like before post processing it, I wanted to find the ID of the subject actually. So without knowing the ID, I will not even post it actually. I still try to post it on social media to get the ID sometimes, but most of the time I like to hold it back to get the IDs first, and then post it in social media. Um the second thing I did is like meet after I know I've picked up macro photography. I started meeting people with the same interest actually, and I learned something from them. And I also share the experiences of using my diffuser, or if any new techniques if I practice, then I will also share with them actually most of the time. So it's most of the time, like keep yourself interactive with the people on the field, so you will also learn from them, and also you can share your knowledge to them. Okay. And sharing ID of the photos is as I said, like you can use some applications like Google Lens, Google Lens, or iNat for getting the IDs. Otherwise, you can also look for those masters who has already published books.
Yeah.
So here is one of the book here, Borneo Spiders, which is published by Nikki Bay and Joseph Ko in Singapore actually. So since most of the time I've been capturing my macro photography in Singapore, all the subjects which is there in Singapore, like they have already recorded it. So in case if I wanted to find the subject name, so I just go to their website, Nikki Bay's website, or this book to get the ID of the subject, and then after I get a shot of it, then I will start reading about it.
Okay.
And okay, so for beginners, right? So whenever you are trying to shoot any macro subject, the first thing you have to do is like you get your subject at all angles actually, like you get your frontal shot, face shot, and then go for dorsal view, side views, whatever view is possible, just take some shots actually. Because like some of the spiders will look similar with the same face, or like the same marking, but only the body, a little mark can change the idea of the entire species itself. So it's really
Mm.
really necessary to capture subject in all the angles. Even you post it or you don't post it, but keep it for subject identification.
Okay.
Okay, my gears. Okay, when I started picked up macro photography, I was using Canon as my gear. That was my first macro lens, like Canon 100 mm. Slowly,
Mm-hmm.
I moved into micro four thirds because of the lightweight gear. So that's the reason I moved to Olympus, and I'm in love with my Olympus camera now, I would say. I'm using Olympus EM1 Mark II with 60 macro lens, and my adapters are usually I will use Renox Nisi close-up filter just for magnification purposes,
Mm.
and speed light. I have Godox TT350 and B8602 flashes actually. So I'll show you my gears. As I said, this is my Olympus EM1 Mark II camera, and then 60 lens. You can see the lightweightedness of the camera,
Mm-hmm.
and my flash. So this is the flash I'm using,
Yeah.
TT350, and focus light. Sometimes consider if you're going for night photography, right? So you will need to have some focus light to take the pictures actually, like you need to as soon as you find your spot your subjects, then you will need some light to capture the subjects, right? So it's really recommended to carry a focused light with you all the time, like even at daytimes it is much needed. So this is one of the focus light which I'm using. I usually carry it along every time actually, whether it's a day or night. I still carry my focus light every time. This
Mm-hmm.
you can also use it for spotting the subjects actually, like consider if it is some spiders, right? You shine the light on the spiders, you can see the reflection back actually on the eye or from the abdomen. So you can also
Mm-hmm.
use this for spotting the subjects. And DIY diffuser, as I said, like okay, macro photography without diffusion is really really troublesome. Like you will not have the details, and you will also see like harsh lights everywhere. So it's really recommended for you to I would personally recommend to have a macro DIY diffuser. It doesn't need to be like a full-fledged diffuser, something like this, or you can use your A4 sheets or your foam paper or butter sheets as a diffuser too. So anything around you which you think like, okay, which will block the flashlights and then make it soft, then you can use it.
Yeah.
So let me show you something with, okay, you can see this picture, right? Okay, this is a picture which I captured in around when I started my initial days. I used a direct flash here, so you can see the details is missing completely, and the light is also harsh everywhere. So if you are using a diffuser, you can see the seamless lights everywhere. You can see that, you can find the difference between these two photos. So these are the things which your DI diffusers or your
Yeah.
diffusers can enhance your photos, I would say. And similarly for this photo, okay, this particular subject, this is an mimic spider. So if you can see, this is a harsh light which I used it exactly on this subject. So and when I use a diffused light, it looks something like this. You can see the difference actually. So this is with diffusion, and this is without diffusion. Okay, so this is my famous, it's not my famous, it's my favorite camera settings which I use for my Olympus camera. And okay, and for Olympus, right, usually I will have a manual focus most of the time, and sometimes until I know um, the the subject is very skittish, and you don't have time to travel around to explore your timing for the subjects. I will go for auto focusing. And for my ISO is always between 100 to 400. I will try to eliminate all those noises in the picture. And my shutter speed is always between 100 to 200. Mostly I will shoot at 200. And for my aperture, I will I will always shoot from f8 to f16. And f8 to f16, it depends, okay, consider if I'm using my Olympus camera and then I don't use a Renox, then what I do is if the subject is a little bit far away, then f8 is still good enough to capture me every single details of the camera. And if it is using Renox, then I will definitely go for f16 or f16 or something. So because since the magnification is too much, I need to capture from one end to other ends. Then I need to have my aperture at f16 or something. And focusing sometimes with auto focusing and sometimes with manual focusing. Okay. Uh, Okay, so when you go for macro photography, right, these are the other things which I always bring in together, which is my torchlight, which I said, which is used for focusing, and my UV lights for most of the time. UV lights, I'll later share with you, okay, how it is more effective. And tripod or monopod, sometimes if you feel like your hands are not stable enough, then you can bring in your tripod or monopods. Dust blower for sure, because you are getting into the field most of the time, so you need to have a dust blower for sure. And face towel, drinking water, and change of shirts is all optional for you, so it depends actually. And okay, this is my first DIY diffuser which I used actually. It's just black color sheet. Behind that, I used a reflective sheet, and then I just put a butter. This white sheet is a butter sheet here. So I just use this as my first diffuser. Okay, and for making your DIY diffusers, right, there are a lot and lots of group in Facebook and YouTube. You can find manuals there to do your DIY diffusers. And Facebook, you can look for homemade flash diffuser for macro photography. This is a Facebook group,
Okay.
and people, macro photographers around the world, like, they are coming in and then sharing their setup actually there. So anything new or any materials, even where to buy all those things, you can find information from that group actually. And
Okay.
YouTube, definitely you can find Kingfisher diffusers prototype with the measurements and everything he has shared in YouTube. So you can still go there to find the tutorial. And yeah, so these are the things which is needed for the doing your macro diffuser. So black plastic folder, a foam sheet or a reflective sheet, velcro buttons and spray glues. So these are the basic things which is needed to make your macro diffuser. Okay, so some of the fundamentals about macro photography is, like, you have to get your gears in full control. Actually, you need to know, like, how to use your gears, and you will not have enough time on the field to explore your camera settings, or, like, you need to know your gear controls too, like, which is your speed dial for changing your shutter speed, and which is your speed dial for changing your aperture, ISO, everything you need to know without even knowing, without even touching or looking at your camera, right? Your hand should play around to get your details, sorry, your settings in place. And breathing technique, okay, sometimes breathing techniques for single shots is not so mandatory, but consider, like, if you're going for stacks for 100 to 200 shots, and that is the time, like, you will need your breathing techniques. Just you need to hold your breath for some time to take your 15 shots or 20 shots altogether. And Olympus, yeah, as I shared my settings, right, I always try to shoot between f8 to f16. And yeah, shooting ethics, shooting priorities, like, okay, this is something which we used to follow here. Like, whoever spots the subject, we will have to give them time to shoot first, and then just uh, because, like, consider if everybody is, like, trying to put your diffuser or camera in front of the subjects, right, what happens is, like, the subject might be scared away, and then they will just move out, or, like, even if it is in a very nice position to shoot, you will definitely miss the momentum there. So it's just, you just need to relax first, and then there should not be any sounds or disturbances when you're doing macro photography. Try to be as calm as possible actually. Any sudden sounds will definitely scare these subjects away. Okay, so this is something which we always do um, when we go for photography. Like, avoid touching subjects with prey, because, like, there are some of the subjects, consider spiders, right? Spiders will definitely hunt for their meal, like, once in 2 days or once in 3 days. As long as they are not hungry, they don't even go and then hunt for the subjects, actually, like, hunt for their food. So whenever you
Mhm.
see any subject, like, any spiders or any insect with prey, just don't touch it, because, like, as soon as you try to reach them, they will definitely drop the subject, and then, they will get away from that location actually. So try not to approach the subjects with the prey at the first place. And collecting subjects, okay, some of them will collect subjects just for fun actually, like, just bring in the subjects to home, and then they just for, like, take a stacking shots or whatever it is, like, they don't do it on the field. Instead, they will bring home and then use I've seen some YouTube videos and Instagram videos, like they bring in home and then use glue to make the subject to stand in one place, or
Mm.
frozen, keep the subject into the fridge and froze it for 2 or 3 minutes, and then they will bring it out to take the subjects, actually take some shots. So just try to avoid it, actually, like try to shoot them in a habitat, in their own habitats, actually. Okay. uh, okay, these are not so okay. Okay. What are the details to shoot? Like okay, where to start your macro photography? What you can do is, like you can start with the subjects on your home, which is like you can always find spiders, definitely for sure, and houseflies and wasp in home. So these are the three common subjects which you can start approaching, because like if spiders at home is almost like not so skittish like the spiders in the field, actually. So you can try approaching the spiders in home. So if you can get a shot of it, then I think like you're good to go to the field to have a shots.
Mm.
Similarly for houseflies and wasp. Okay. And how to find subjects or spot insects. Usually, I will bring in this torchlight for finding the subject. Most of the time, I will be using this torchlight to find the subject. So what I do is, like okay, sometimes if you see a leaf or something, right, just try to shine your light from the bottom. So even if there is any subject on the top, right, you can see the reflection of the reflection of the subject on the leaves. Okay, so this is one of the techniques I follow, and then try to keep your torch at your eye level, so you can and look at the ground. So when you look at the keep the torch at eye level and then looking at the ground, right, you can see all the lights, which is like all the sparkles which is coming in. You just go and approach. You can see like either it might be a spider, sometimes it might be a reflective material, but at night times, definitely all those huntsman spiders, wolf spiders, wandering spiders, all those eyes will be like reflecting back, actually. So you can use this for spotting your subject.
Subject.
And definitely, okay, as I said, like when I bring in my gears, right, I also bring in my UV light. Okay, UV light is really good in spotting some of the subjects, like one of the like scorpions is one of the subject, like wherein the melanin layer will
Mm-hmm.
definitely reflect back for UV light, actually. So this photo on the right side, right, is shot with the scorpion with babies, and on a night time with UV light. So with the fill light and UV light. Okay. When okay, and for spotting spiders, right, what you can do is, like you can, whenever you see a web, try not to disturb it, and then try to follow the web wherever it is going, actually. Like if there is web at both the ends, right, definitely spider will be in either in this web or in the other web, actually. Like it doesn't go and then leave the web somewhere, and then it will not hide anywhere. So it will be on either side of the web, actually. So you can uh, this is one of the technique for finding the spiders. And leaf, definitely, and then torch, using the torchlight is another technique for finding the spiders. Okay. And for butterflies, right, you can always butterflies will be based on the host plants, actually. So you can, for the caterpillars and butterflies, you can definitely know, if you know the host plants, then definitely you can find the butterflies, what butterfly it is. And similarly for moths. And
Mm-hmm.
for some of the spiders, right, you can understand the behavior. You need to try to know the behavior of it. Like the spider which is on the background, right, like this particular spider is this is a Poltis elevatus, sorry, Poltis illipedia spider, which we call it as a tree stump spider. So this spider, right, usually at daytime it just looks like a bark, and okay, yeah, this spider also, it just looks like a wooden log, or like wooden bark in daytime. And even if you unless it is moving, right, it will be very difficult for us to spot this. But during night time, it just comes out around 6:30 or 7 o'clock in the night, when it is dawn, right. It will come out and then build its web and then wait for its prey. So that is when, you can find, you can know the okay, this spiders has come out, and then you can just look for the look for the identification. And if it is if you know, okay, tree stump spider, then definitely you're good to go actually. And seasonal periods, some of the spiders, right, uh, some, I would say, eight spotted spider, it doesn't show up. What I understood, or what I observed for all these years, it doesn't comes out 365 days a year. It just comes out only 1 or 2 months in a year. It just comes to the pathway, or to the track. Most of the time they hide inside the forest. So sometimes when they are coming out, that's the time, seasonal time for you to shoot actually. Okay. So spotting subjects is okay, it could be, the size is very small. So if you can
Oh,
see the detail here, right, this is the actual size, and that is not even one of the very few, how can I say, is 1
yeah, it's
mm
like
actually.
a mole you get on your
Yeah,
body.
yeah, that's the size of the mole actually, to be very precise. So this is the size of the, so you have to, you cannot be expecting like a mantis of 5 centimeters or 10 centimeters every time. You have to
Yeah.
look about 1 mm or 2 mm subjects too. 1 mm 2 mm subjects are more colorful and more interesting to shoot. Okay. And some of the subjects, right, what happens is it will gel with the background, meaning it will camouflage very well. So the tree stump spiders, or those some of the worms or cicadas, or some of the reptiles, even the reptiles, or arthropods, right? Definitely
Mm.
they will camouflage. So when they are camouflaged, right, try to observe very closely, so you will have light reflection or whatever it is. Whenever you see a reflection, just try to go and then look look for it actually, what subject it is. Or even if it is a wooden bag, it's no harm actually. Okay. And how I do my shots is I will go for my record shots first. I don't try to approach very closely and then get the details at the first stage. What we usually do is we will take a record shot, and then once we know the behavior of the subject, right, that is when we try to approach them. Okay. As I said, documentation for the ID purposes, you need to have the frontal view, top view, and back view of all the spiders. So on the spiders on the left side, sorry, the spiders on the right side is the tree stump spider, which has the front view, back view, and also the top view of it. Okay. So most of the times I like to shoot the passport, I like to do shoot from the face, at the eye level. So if you can see my Instagram, right, most of my photos is at eye level. Okay. And apart from uh, most of the time, I try to play with the natural environment in the habitats. But sometimes what you can also do is if there is a flower, or if you think the background might be suiting very well, then you can just put it as a backdrop actually. So it depends on the subject. So if your subject is more colorful, I think with black background it is much nicer. And if your subject is very it's on no, it's very greenish, then you have to check, consider if it is on a green leaf, right, it is going to be camouflage, and you will not see the details of it. So you can just put it on put the subject on move the subject to something contrasting, and then take some shots of it. Okay. And higher magnifications you can still achieve, you can always achieve through using Renox, Nisi closer filters, extension tubes. These are the three things which I always use for getting magnification. The most common one which I use is Renox. And these two photos are stacked photos. If you can see, the one on the left side is a assassin bug, and snatching assassin bug, with
Mm.
which what it does is it will kill the insect, and then it will just pile up like a pyramid on the back.
Yeah.
and then I think like it'll just bring it up for eating when, or I don't know whether it's a hobby or like they bring it up for eating, but they usually do is like what they just kill the ants and then just put it on their back, actually carry it. And the one on the right side is a Poltis elevator spider, which looks like a twig. And if you can see the details of it, right, like you can see every single hair
Yeah.
and the eye, everything, you can see it. This just needs magnification. Consider if you are shooting at 1:1, or like two 1:2 or something, right, you will not have this magnification. So what you need to identify what level of magnification is needed for your subject. So mostly, if you use Raynox, right, Raynox is really good for magnification. Okay, and consider if you're on the field, right, and then if you're having the same subject again and again and again, right. So what you can do is like um, try to find the subject with the prey. If it like try to find the subject with um, what do you say, with interesting moments. So this is what you can look for, and try to capture those rare moments. Consider the one which is on the left side, right, is a spider with the babies, and on the right side is the molting spider.
Hmm.
So these are some of the rare moments which you can capture. Okay. uh, and also you can just try like every time, it doesn't have to be like on a passport size photo. You can also be like you can capture some of the subjects on the web itself. Okay. Apart from this, right, since some of them are interested about like wide angle macro photography, the one on the background, right, is a wide angle macro photography. This is something which I did as a DIY. It's not like using any of the macro lens or the purchased macro lens. What I try to
Mhm.
do is like this is my macro photography setup. Some of them who is like who is following this video might be interested. So with this camera, right, okay, probably I will mount it. Okay, so this is my macro setup. So this is my 60 lens. This is a Raynox 250, another Raynox 250. This is a Nisi close-up filter, and there is a extension tube, 42 extension tube here, and on top there is a CCTV lens. So this is my
Oh,
macro setup for wide angle photography. So how you can achieve is like you can bring in your, it depends from, it varies from camera to camera and lens to lens, because like you need to achieve your higher magnification for your CCTV lens to capture a macro subject actually. So
mm,
this is how I was doing some R&D and inspired from Nikki Bay. So I started doing this actually, and it took like 3 months for me to achieve this. So I think like this is something interesting as far to do with macro photography.
yeah.
Okay. Uh, yeah, that's it. So any questions, you can just let me know, or any photos you want to see from my Instagram, and then if you have any questions, then we can talk about it.
We have few questions, in fact.
Okay.
Let me check. Sonal is asking, is it any special scorpion or a common one? The UV scorpion you were showing.
It's a bark scorpion actually. It's not a special one. It's a bark scorpion, which has this particular layer which reflects for UV. It's just a common scorpion.
Okay. Do you use a magnifying glass to find any subjects?
No, I don't use any magnifying glass. Once you get into macro photography, right, your eyes will always focus on the small subjects actually. So it's very difficult to use a magnifying lens to put in front of you and then find the subjects. So usually it's like that, and I will use my torchlight for spotting it. So usually consider if it is on the leaf or whatever, wherever it is, right, I will use it like upside down, or like from the bottom, to see if there is any reflection, and then if I see anything like a subject, then I will go for it.
Okay. What got you started into macro photography?
COVID.
A lot of people who come in this platform answer the same question. I mean, give the same answer.
Yeah, yeah. So that's the reason, right? Like, consider if you have your day-to-day business, you will not find time to do anything. So if you
Yes.
have to, yeah. After I started macro photography, I've been like, stopping some of my other hobbies to do macro photography, which is like I'm still happy about it.
So, and a lot of people found their passion during the
Yeah,
COVID times.
true, true.
Like, uh, yeah, one question we have is what is the key thing that you suggest which someone should keep in mind while doing macro photography in the wild?
Try not to scare the subjects. Don't approach them very fast. Try to observe their behavior first. Like, any almost all the subjects, right? If you don't approach them suddenly, they will still be on their habitat actually. Like, even any of the subject actually, even with praise or without praise, they are just staying and then waiting for their prey or molting, whatever it is. Like, they will just stay where they are. And just try, don't give a sudden movement to scare them. Instead, like, you can still take your time to observe the nature of it, and then you can approach them. So this is one of the techniques which I follow. It's like a thumb rule for me.
That's great. So have you ever shot any poisonous subjects?
I did. I shot a pit viper. I can show my Instagram. So just give me a minute so I
Yeah,
can
yeah,
share my screen.
sure.
I think I couldn't find the picture. Okay.
Oh,
So this is the poisonous, one of the poisonous snake, which I got very close. I would say, like, this is like exactly 7 cms from my face, from my camera.
that's pretty close.
Yeah.
And have you gone through any risky situations ever while shooting?
No,
Okay.
I'll be prepared actually. Like, consider if being my boots or my insects repellents, everything. I'll be
Okay.
prepared mostly.
Okay. We have a question from Sibin asking, is there any disadvantages in using extension tubes?
There is no, okay. Using extension tubes, right? What happens with your diffuser? It's consider if your diffuser is and okay. So you almost all your diffusers you are designed to have your lens here, right? Consider if you're using extension tubes, what happens is like your lens is like a little projected outside. So what happens is
Yes.
like your lens will block the available lights. You will go for magnification. Like whenever you use an extension tube, it will go for you will go for magnification. So when you have
Yeah.
your magnification, your subject and your lens distance might be only like few centimeters. And consider if
Mm-hmm.
it is like if your lens is protruding away from your diffuser, and consider if it is stopping here, and your subject is here, definitely your diffuser, the lights comes out from your diffuser will be blocked by extension tubes. So
Sure.
that's unless if you are using like only one diffuser, like 36 mm or like 24 mm, just a single diffuser is okay. But some people will be using like 36 mm plus 24 mm plus 12 mm just for pure magnification. So in
You
that
mean
case, what you, yeah,
extension tubes, not diffuser?
extension tubes I mean, like
Okay.
when
Yeah.
you so 36 mm, 24 mm and 12 mm. So in
Yeah.
order to use the extension tubes, right, you can what I would suggest is, like, go for uh, twin flashes, so you can move the flashes, like, towards the subject actually. So twin flashes is one of the alternates for using extension tubes.
Okay. We have one question from Mendoza. How do you manage to get a great depth of field when shooting a close bug and yourself at the same time?
Okay, that's about the wide angle, right?
Yeah,
Or is it about the, okay, if it is about the wide angle,
I
that's
think so.
beauty. Yeah, that's the beauty of CCTV lens actually. So it's not I would say that's because of the magnification I can get the subject. And CCTV lens, fisheye lens, right, it will try to cover everything wide actually.
Yeah,
So up along with the magnification, I can also put my face in to get the subject. So if you can see here, one of my photo. Okay. Okay, if you can see
mm,
here, this is a
yeah,
CCTV lens is in just in front actually. As in you can see, okay, this is the CCTV lens which I use, right? So this CCTV lens is the one which I put it in front. So this CCTV lens doesn't even cover me. It can cover like until like 135 degrees from my left to right actually. So this is the advantage of using CCTV lens.
okay.
Yes.
Mm, we have one more question. What is your inspiration for your photography?
Inspirations. I have a few actually. Like I always like those critters. So some subjects with a close up, I always wanted to notice about actually. Like, I like to notice the beauty of the subjects in close up. So that's the reason. You would not even wonder, like, ever imagine, like, there are some bugs with compound eyes, and the details, if you see the face, right, it looks like this. So
Yeah,
once you have your, like, first shot, you will definitely want to see more. So that's how I got inspired. So this is one of it. And I can also show, okay, the spiders. You can
yeah,
see the hairs, the
yes,
eyes, and then the colorful
yeah. Lot of
fangs.
colors in that.
Yes, yes. You see the colorful fangs. Where could you find it? Even naked eye, definitely, you cannot find
Yeah,
those fangs.
that's true.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think those are the questions we have
Mm-hmm.
for you.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, Madan. Thank you for this wonderful session.
Thanks, Hamish, for
Knowledge,
inviting me,
no, a
and
lot of
thanks,
knowledge you
guys.
shared.
Thank you. Anytime. So thanks so much for inviting me, and thanks, guys, for watching.
You're
Yeah, let's
welcome.
catch up again. My Instagram account is Madan Clicks. You can definitely reach me out there anytime. I
Yeah,
can respond back to your questions. So yeah, let's stay in touch.
I have I have given it in the comments so that everybody
Okay,
can. Yeah. So that's Madan's Instagram ID. Anybody who want to keep in touch with him can do that. And yeah, sure, we will catch up soon, Madan.
sure, Hamish.
Another
Thank you so
session. Thank you
much.
so much.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye. So that was Madan with his beautiful macro pictures. As usual, I hope you all had a wonderful time, a learning session, and with a lot of knowledge. The next webinar will be on next Thursday. Another interesting person will be there to share his experience. So, till then, friends, take care and have a nice evening. Thank you so much.